Hey everybody, hope this midweek encouragement finds you doing well. On Monday, the governor had some new orders out, and one of those orders included everyone was going to have to wear masks in retail locations. Now, of course, that created quite an uproar, and maybe he's softened a little bit on that, but even on forums and groups of ministers and church leaders, there's been a lot of talk about masks. Now, AJ and Heidi have been busy at different times making some masks, and here's one that they made. It doesn't have the elastic yet because, well, everybody's out of elastic right now. But, you know, those masks that are going to help us to keep from spreading this disease. You know, I didn't think that those cloth masks were quite cool enough, so I had to go out and 3D print one, which, you know, was way cooler. And so I've got this mask. You can probably barely understand me with that one on. As a matter of fact, that one was so much cooler than the cloth one that I had a gentleman in the Kenton Kroger just laugh out loud when I came around the corner. And so if you happen to talk to somebody that mentions laughing at somebody's mask, that was me. Tell him I went home and cried. And my son, not to be outdone, he 3D printed a mask. But his 3D mask needed to be cooler than mine, and so if you're familiar with the Batman movies, the older ones, you might recognize the mask that Kai made, Bane, the villain from Batman. So all these masks got me thinking, and the question is, if everyone is required to wear a mask, how will people respond at church? And I think one of the solutions, or one of the things that I came up with, is we're all wearing masks when we're at church. We're all wearing masks everywhere we go. As a matter of fact, even when I do these videos, I'm very careful about only letting you see certain things. And as a matter of fact, I set up a camera so that you can maybe see a side shot and you can see the disaster on my desk that I didn't include in this video. On Sunday mornings, I'm very deliberate about how the camera is positioned, so you don't see certain things in my house that I haven't finished yet. I haven't finished trim around windows or trim around doors. I'm very particular about making sure you don't see certain messes. And you see, we get so caught up in wearing these masks. We've all been wearing them, and so this shouldn't really be any different, putting a mask on to go out into public. But can I encourage you, it's time to stop wearing masks when we come to church. Oh, we may have to physically wear a mask, but it's time to stop wearing these masks of everything's fine, everything's good, my life is in order, my life is perfect. We need to admit that we are all messed up individuals. Every one of us is in need of God's grace. And so let's take off the masks and start just sharing with one another what we're going through. Maybe your mask is a mask that says that you've got to be strong, you've got to have it all together. And really inside, you don't have it together at all, and you just need somebody to come alongside you. Take off that mask. Take off that facade and admit that you are in need of help. Maybe the mask is something different for you completely. Maybe you're wearing a mask that says you're a certain type of a person. Maybe you're even wearing a mask that says you're a Christian, but deep down you don't even know if there is a God. Can I encourage you, have those discussions with me, with the elders. Let's talk about those things. Take off the mask and let's admit who we really are. Take off the mask of pretending. Take off the mask of making yourself something you're not. And let's be real with one another. That's how we're going to get through this. If we're willing to share with one another, if we're willing to encourage one another, if we're willing to accept the help that there is. It's been a good time for me going through the book of 2 Corinthians, because 2 Corinthians is a lot about how the church admitted that they were wrong and they were making some changes, and then Paul is able to come in and say, great, now we all recognize we're sinners in need of God's grace, so let's move forward from here. As a matter of fact, this Sunday we're going to be looking at 2 Corinthians chapter 2, the first several verses, and we're going to look at Paul's encouragement to forgive the man who was caught in sin in the book of 1 Corinthians, and how the church needs to respond to him. It's a shame that the church is really the only army that shoots their wounded. We have got to come alongside one another when we're hurting. Let's take off the masks, show each other who we really are, and encourage one another all the more as we see the day approaching. Yesterday, you should have received an email from me. If you didn't receive that email, do me a favor. If you're on any of our email lists, that should have come through to you, but check your spam folder and make sure that that didn't go there. It should be Bethel CC Announce, and we're going to send out important announcements through that email. So if you didn't get an email from me on Tuesday, check your spam folder and make sure that you make that so that you will receive those. But we made the announcement yesterday that for these next 2 weeks, we are going to continue to meet online. There's been a lot of churches that are starting back up, and we're going to use caution, and we're going to follow some of the guidelines that have been put forth to us. And we don't feel comfortable meeting when the government is asking us to stick with meetings of 10 or less. And so we're going to be as safe as we can, but we also know that everybody wants to be back together. So right now, the decision is for these 2 weeks, for the 3rd and the 10th, we will be online, and then we'll be evaluating for the next 2 weeks after that, for the 17th and the 24th. And we'll base things on a 2-week basis of where we go from there. Please know that none of this is an easy decision for us. Whether we come back together or whether we continue to meet digitally has its challenges both ways. And so know that we are facing these challenges, we are facing these decisions with a lot of prayer, a lot of discussion between the elders and myself and the staff, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that when we do come back together, that we come back together in a safe and effective way. Again, I hope this video finds you doing well, and I hope you have a good week. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call or email me or anyone on the staff or the elders. And by all means, if there is anything that we can help you with, if there is any assistance that you need, don't hesitate to let us know, and we will do everything we can to make that happen for you. Hey, we love you guys. We are praying for you. We're praying with you. And I hope that you have a great week. I'll talk to you later.